I'm an Aussie and I've lived between Canada and Australia for 13 years, more so in Canada, and I have some thoughts and facts and more thoughts. It's near impossible to get good coffee in Canada. Even at Starbucks, it is sweet and miserable. And also, their coffees are the size of my head. Fruit can be really cheap. All of this is $3.84. Winner! My kids have already eaten half, but this would be like $14 in Australia. Everyone who lives here whines and complains about the snow all winter. There is no free-to-air TV. You have to pay for it. If you have an Australian accent, they're going to immediately presume that you came here to ski. We don't have Kmart here, and Target from the US got deleted about 8 years ago from Canada after a 1-year trial. It was devastating. We have Walmart, but it's absolutely terrible, and it does not compare to Kmart at all. In British Columbia, there is quite literally more pot shops and churches than anything else. Every house has to have heating because your pipes freeze. Obviously, you drive on the wrong side of the road here compared to Australia, but also the drivers are quite friendly. You can cross a car park or a road and everyone will stop for you. Not like in Australia where they'll just plow you over. When you go to someone's house for an event, a party, a visit, you're expected to take your shoes off. And that ruins your whole outfit. Everyone has a shoe rack. If you love to do online shopping like I do, unless it's Amazon, your shipments are going to take 2 to 3 weeks. If you're an Aussie and you have kids going to school in Canada, you'll think it's really bizarre that they eat their lunch inside every day. Contrary to most beliefs, it gets very hot in Canada. Today, it's 37 degrees in British Columbia in mid-August. And finally, of course, waking up to the sound of a snowplow is music to my ears, and the skiing here is far superior.
I'm a Canadian who is currently living in Australia for a few months. And these are some of the main differences I've noticed just on like a day-to-day basis in comparison to Canada. So I would say Australia is way cleaner. The homeless population I'm sure is somewhere, but I have traveled basically most of the East Coast and I have seen maybe 5 homeless people, if that, like so few and far between in comparison to BC where I'm from. So that's really a nice adjustment. It's really unfortunate that it's that bad where I'm from though. The open drug use, it's non-existent. There's no open drug use at all. There's no drug use at all that I've seen. Anyways, I haven't been in the party scene either, so that might make a difference. But most definitely, like even weed's not legal here. So back in BC, like there's a weed store on every single corner. So that's obviously a big difference. People are up so early here. Like I always thought like a 6 o'clock gym class was like early way to start your day back home. No, here there's like 4:45, there's 5 a.m. classes. People are up going for runs at 5 o'clock in the morning. People are out surfing before they have to go to school and work. It definitely is actually something that's really cool. I like to see that. I'm definitely more of an early morning person. The only downfall to that is that everything closes early. So there's a lot of times that you say you roll into town, it's 8 o'clock at night. There's not going to be a whole lot of options for you. Also, just it seems like everybody over, like as an overall, is healthier. Like you go to the beach and you feel like a 2. Everybody's a 10. Everybody is very healthy. They love their gym activities, they love their fitness, they love their surfing, so of course that's going to keep you in shape. I definitely also would say, like in comparison to back home, like groceries, the healthier options that you want to buy, it's way cheaper here. You can't get like the cheap groceries back home. Like even getting like a freaking steak back home is what, $15 regardless. I got a T-bone steak the other day that was like $9. So like, yeah. Alcohol is way more expensive. Smoking is insane. There was a guy buying cigarettes in front of me and they spent $70 on a pack of cigarettes. So there's, they tax things that are like bad for you, and then things that are good for you, they don't have as much taxes. So, and gas prices are definitely more expensive here. But not by that much. And the other thing is, like, right now it is their summer, or I guess it's not anymore, but the gas prices are usually higher in the summer back home. So I was kind of in comparing it to that. So But yeah, those are just some of the things that.
Yep, at the end of it all, variety is the spice of life, right? Hey, beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. So all credit goes to the creators in these videos, guys. In today's video, I brought cultural shocks between Canadians and Australians. Are you a Canadian living in Australia, or are you even an Australian living in Canada? Let me know in the comment section. So, I mean, both countries have their different beautiful cultures, traditions, belief, from the food to the climate to dressing to different kind of things. So I'm just gonna let this video play and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you enjoy it. See you in my next video. Ciao.
I'm a Canadian, moved to Australia 8 months ago, and here are some things that surprised me when I moved here. Australia gets cold. Like, I knew they had a winter, but I didn't realize it would be as cold as it is. A lot of the houses here aren't insulated. When it's nighttime, you will be freezing if you're not prepared. I have learned that getting a hot water bottle is the way to go, and it heats up your bed really nicely. And also, it feels like it's colder inside the houses than outside the houses for some reason. Another thing that really surprised me when I moved here is that I didn't realize I would stop hearing the accents. I don't think I've lost my accent yet. When I talk to people here in Australia, maybe it's because I'm just so used to their accent that they just sound normal to me. They just sound like they're Canadian or American. They sound like me. I just can't even hear their accents anymore. I don't know. Kmart. Kmart is basically like Walmart without food and just 10 times better. You can get literally anything for your house, anything that you just need, and it's really affordable and pretty good quality for the most part too. I even bought a printer from there for like $30. They've got everything. Kmart's amazing. Another thing that surprised me when I moved here is that the chocolate, ice cream, and the coffee are amazing. It's just different here, and it's like a really good different, especially the coffee. You can't find bad coffee here. McDonald's, they literally have espresso machines. Let me know if you guys agree with these things that I've noticed.
Let me explain to you why I prefer Australia over Canada. So I come from Montreal in Canada, and I've been living in Australia for almost 8 years. So let me tell you the difference between the two. So first of all, I think I'm getting ready, by the way. I've got an interview, so just doing my makeup at the same time. So first thing, I think it's obvious, that's why most people move to Australia, is the weather. Obviously the weather is so, especially where I live in Perth, the weather is so consistent, it's amazing. Like compared to Montreal, where you just never know what type of weather, you just never know what's gonna happen. So good. Second one, oh my god, is the tax are included and you don't have to tip. Like every time I go back to Canada or America, you have to leave a tip and then you have to pay tax. So it's like you see the price of like something that's 50 to 93 and then you just like, how much is that going to be? But then here you see something that's $10. It is $10. It is amazing. Seriously, it is so frustrating to live in Canada for that reason sometimes. Not second, third one is people drive so much slower on the highway. I know you'll be thinking like, why do you think it's better that way? But I'm someone that I don't really like driving fast, and I find on the highway when I'm driving from the South Shore to the North Shore in Montreal, people are bunker. They just go so fast, and it's sometimes a bit scary, and you're like, God, like just slow down. But then here, on the other hand, on the highway, people go 80 kilometers an hour, and I'm just like, this is mental. There's like no in between. It's either super fast or a bit too slow for me. Number 4 is I love Asia, so I am so close. Like I just booked some ticket to go to Bali, and it cost me like just under $300 to fly to Bali. For me, I find that amazing. I find Asia so good. But obviously, this is a personal preference on where I like to travel. But for me, Asia is just the number one compared to like Central or South America or the Caribbean, which are amazing too. It's just my personal preference. Fifth one is probably in terms of like the type of courses or the holistic practices I find in Australia are so much more prominent. Maybe also I should maybe do more research for Canada, because since I've been here, like my interests have changed, I guess, in what I like to do. But here I find there's so many practitioners in like breath work or like mental health or holistic ways to deal with things, which I really enjoy. Like when I was back home, I just don't find any of my friends, or I don't find any of that stuff, but maybe I haven't been looking, but I just never really came across.
I'm a Canadian living in Australia. I've been here for like 3.5 months. So I'm going to tell you the differences I noticed living here versus Canada. They have snorkels on their car. I don't know what they're actually called, but they literally look like snorkels on their cars. Not all of the cars, but like some. Like once in a while, you'll see like a snorkel on a car. And you're just like, whoa, cool. Instead of aluminum foil, they say aluminium. Aluminium. I'm sorry. It's just wild to me. Aluminium. Like I've literally heard multiple people say aluminium, not aluminum. They'll be like, yeah, the beach is like fine. It's not like the nicest. And it's like way nicer than any beach that we've ever seen in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't have Advil here. They have, I forget the name of it. They have something else, but they don't have Advil. Like you can't find Advil. I'm like, what? I thought Advil was like universal. I don't know why I thought that. That might be like everywhere and I'm just stupid, but like I didn't know that. People don't wear their shoes. That is true. There's a lot of places that people just like don't wear their shoes and it's like not a big deal. I've done it.
I often have people asking me why I moved to Australia. So to give you a bit of background, I know I don't sound Canadian, but I'm actually French Canadian. I come from Montreal, and every time there's some people being like, why did you move to Australia from Canada? Like everyone's trying to immigrate to Canada as well as Australia. And I'm like, I understand that. I understand Canada is a really good country, but the fact that it's cold, that's why I moved. So to put you into perspective, I live in Perth where it's usually between 15 and 40 degrees. It never goes, I mean, it can go lower than 15 at night during winter, but then during the day we'll go back up to like probably 20 degrees. In Montreal, where I come from, it goes all the way down to minus 40. I said minus 40. It's just crazy. And then summer could be up to like 40 degrees, but it's super humid. Where I live is quite dry, but then obviously your skin gets dry here. Anyways, I find Australia is so good because you can go to the beach for free. So when I went back to Montreal a couple months ago, I was hanging out in the city and then I'm like, oh, what do you do? Like you either have to go to one of the few beaches there is, but they're quite far from the CBD. And then if you hang out in a park, it's super hot and there's no water around unless you go to like a public pool, which is crowded of kids. So I find like here is so good because the beach is free. So anytime you want to catch up with someone, you want to go on a date, you want to catch up with a friend, you want to catch up with your partner, you can just go to the beach and it's free. You can get a juice there, you can go get a coffee. In Montreal, it's like you just walk around and you're like, what else is there to do? Unless you have some friends that live on the South Shore or the North Shore and they have a pool where you can chill, it's really hard to know what to do. So this is why I moved to Australia. And also the fact that all your taxes are included when you pay for something. Canada is so annoying for that. Anyways,
as an Aussie that's living in Canada, here's a massive difference between the two countries when it comes to weather. Now, the obvious one is that Canada's cold, Australia's hot. Yeah, we get that. But here in Canada, when it's a 15 to 20 degree sunny day, it hits you like a 30 degree day back home. I'm in Alberta. It's one of the coldest provinces in Canada. But during the summer, all you need is a sort of 18 to 20 degree day with the sun out, and it's hot. Now, the biggest reason for that in Calgary is the fact that it's a landlocked province. There really there's no coastline or anything like that, so you don't get the breeze that you would say back in Perth or on Sydney. And then on the East Coast, the reason that it hits you harder is because of the humidity. So in Toronto and Montreal, the humidity is really high. So even a 20 degree day is going to feel like a 30, 35 degree day back in Australia. So just because it only says it's 15 degrees doesn't mean it's not going to feel hot.
Inflation and the cost of living crisis is still definitely very prevalent in Australia. I don't think you're going to escape that at all here or anywhere in Canada. In general, the cost of living is nearly identical. Some things here might be a bit cheaper, some things at home might be a bit cheaper, but I find it tends to even out. So let's start with rent. I'm currently in Byron and I'm paying about $280 per week for a room. When I move up to Bondi later this week, it'll go up to $400, which is to be expected. It's Bondi Beach. Hello. So let's say $400 per week, about 1,600 Australian per month. That's actually like a better deal than I feel you would get in Toronto in a condo. Groceries as well. I find some groceries are actually cheaper here. For example, strawberries at home for a pint are going to be like $7. they're usually about $2 or $3 here. Now, that's not like most fruits or vegetables, but I do find the one-off items are way cheaper, and then some of them are just like very expensive. So they do tend to balance each other out. However, the minimum wage here is higher than Canada. So any normal like minimum wage job, working at a grocery store, something like that, you're making at least $30 an hour. So when you take that into consideration, you might be better off cost of living wise out here in Australia. Two other things to note. Number one, the Canadian dollar and the Australian dollar are nearly 1 for 1. However, it's about 95 cents Canadian for every Australian dollar. So when you're here and you're viewing all of the prices for things in Australian dollars and you're still thinking of it as a Canadian dollar, you're winning ever so slightly. And then the other thing to consider is that they include their taxes in all of their pricing up front. So if it says $3.99, you are paying $3.99. So all in all, both are brutal right now. However, I think you're able to get by a lot better out here than you are in Canada.
I'm back in Canada for a bit, and here are some of the main things I noticed between Canadian versus Australian grocery stores. For reference, I'm a Canadian living in Australia. First of all, I forgot how huge everything is. That pack of Lay's is pretty big. So are the cereal boxes. All the family-sized things just were a little bit of a reverse culture shock for me, because I just forgot how huge stuff is. These teas were so big. Second, I forgot that they serve alcohol at Canadian grocery stores. You don't get alcohol at Australian grocery stores. You have to go to a separate liquor store. Well, there are still liquor stores in Canada, but yeah, you just don't get liquor or beer at an Australian grocery store. Also, what the hell? I didn't know Arizona iced tea made hard Arizona iced tea. I really need to try this. Lastly, milk bags. I forgot milk bags were a thing. Definitely don't have those in Australia.